I want to show a common issue or misunderstanding about working with code spaces. This is something I faced myself and I wanted to show the solution. So the idea is that if I have this repository and I'm going to create here a dev container, let's do it now. So I'm clicking here on code, I choose the CodeSpace tab and I create a new CodeSpace. Then it's created normally. Let's wait for it to finish setting up. And it's now ready. Now, the thing is that I want to use this CodeSpace to develop a project that I have in a different repository. Specifically, I have this repository and I want to work on this code base in this CodeSpace. So what I might try to do is click here on this repository, the one that I want to work on, and try to clone it in my CodeSpace. So let's try to do that. So let me copy the URL and then try to git clone here. But when we try to do that, we get that the requested URL returned error 403, which means that we don't have permissions. So what we are missing, what we need to do in order to be able to work in this CodeSpace on the other repository is we need to add something to our dev container configuration. So first we need to create the file that configures everything for this dev container. So let me open the command palette here in this CodeSpace. I'll do that with Ctrl-Shift-P. And here I'm going to type in dev container. And this is what we want. We want to add dev container configuration files. And I'll choose modify your active configuration. Now we can choose some of the options that we want here, but I don't want any of that. I'll just click on OK. And we can see that this file was created, devcontainer.json. Here we can add all of the configuration that we want to our specific dev container, the CodeSpace in this example. And here, in addition to the image, which I'm not going to change, we want to add something. And this addition is called customizations. So I'm going to paste here the piece of code that we need to add to the configuration of the dev container. And here is how it needs to look like. And here we need to specify the repository that we want to require access to. And here I had to write the name of the account, the GitHub account, followed by the name of the repository that I want to allow access to. And now we need to add this file to the repository itself. Once again, this is the repository in which our CodeSpace resides. So here, let's go to the source control tab and let's add here some commit message and let's commit and push. And now if we go back to the repository itself, let's refresh. And you can see that we have the folder, the .devcontainer folder, and in this folder we have our JSON file with the configuration of this CodeSpace, of this dev container. So now it should work, but the thing is that this CodeSpace didn't require these permissions when it was created, so we cannot really use it. So unfortunately we'll have to destroy this CodeSpace. So let's close this tab. And here, let's go back to the code options and let's go to our CodeSpaces tab. And first, I'm going to remove this CodeSpace. So I'll click here on the three dots and let's delete this CodeSpace. And instead of it, we're going to create a new CodeSpace. So let's create CodeSpace. And now we can see that this CodeSpace is requesting for permissions. So this is the repository that I want to work on in this CodeSpace. And this is why I'm going to authorize this request. And for some reason, when you have access to another repository, it takes much longer to load. I don't know why, but it does take much longer. Fortunately, it's only in the first time. When you first set up the CodeSpace, it does take much longer. But once you activate it, after it was created, it loads normally. So let's wait for 5 minutes or so. Okay, so it took quite a long while and eventually we got this unexpected error, but fear not, this is not a real error. We can just reload. Okay, so it took a while, but finally our CodeSpace is up and running. And now we should be able to clone our repository. So once again, I'm going to the repository that I want to clone in the CodeSpace. And let me copy the URL for this repository. And let's try to git clone this repository. And now it's working. Now we could clone the repository.